Boruto might not survive the time skip. That's exactly what Momoshiki has prophesized, and the ongoing events in the manga also indicate the same thing. The current power gap between Boruto and Kawaki is huge, and there is no way the blue-eyed boy can counter his twist of fate all by himself. So is Boruto too weak for the time skip, and what turn will the story take to fix this? Let's find out. The amount of potential that Boruto holds as a character is too much. He's arguably the most powerful in his verse if these two bad boys were thrown out of the plot. Not sure about Daemon, but the other bad boy is gonna become the biggest nuisance for Boruto in the upcoming times. His impact to the story was so high that a few pages of the flash forward sequence has kept the majority of the fans hooked to the series for more than half a decade now. Sadly, this most awaited sequence still seems nowhere around the corner, but the outcome of this fight is getting more predictable day by day, especially after the reveal of a brand new flash forward scene where again Kawaki is portrayed as the evil guy. The noxious appearance of this character has made Boruto look a bit inferior to him, not only because of the injuries and torn clothes that he can be seen within the time skip, but also due to the fact that Momoshiki, whose powers and skill sets are privileged by Boruto, has himself accepted he is inferior to Ishiki. Not to mention Kawaki holds Ishiki's powers due to the new karma that makes him stronger than Boruto. But is he really more powerful than the blue-eyed boy? Well, keeping in mind the current circumstances, the answer might be a yes. To prove this further, Kawaki has been training under Jigen way before utilizing the karma. This means he has some battle experience of his own, unlike Boruto, who was only genetically gifted and trained like a normal shinobi before the karmification. Code says the battle experience of an otsutsuki gets transferred into the vessel through the karma. But the problem with Boruto is that he doesn't know how to use the karma properly. Even Amado admitted that Boruto needs to train before facing off threats like Code. We still don't know the true potential of Code and his army, so it's very likely that Boruto could be still behind a lot of people in terms of power levels, in his own words. Before discussing how Boruto will climb the power ladder, let's figure out what makes him weak for the time skip. Prior to the karma implantation, Kawaki stood no chance against Boruto since he had a good control over his chakra as well as being immensely skilled over many ninjutsu and taijutsu. However, the tables turned after the death of Ishiki, which made Kawaki an 80% otsutsuki being. The curse of the otsutsuki had fully erased from the boy's body, yet his twist of fate made him keep all the divine powers. Not to mention the body modifications also granted Kawaki an upper hand against Boruto. And the real deal started when Kawaki killed Boruto, where he was born as a pure otsutsuki. So does the percentage of otsutsuki power determine who's gonna be the victor in the time skip? Not really. Cause if that would be the case, Boruto's appearance should have been a lot better in the flash forward scene as compared to Kawaki, whose entire outfit seems neat. The dark prophecy has really hit Boruto hard. Even his otsutsuki prowess couldn't save him from the wrath of his karma counterpart. We can conclude that Boruto is really powerful right now, but not powerful enough to take on the nuisances like Kawaki and Code. So Boruto needs to get stronger. He needs to train harder and acquire a lot of battle experience himself in order to tackle all these dangers. The analogy of the Naruto series, where a new villain seems like an absolute disaster at debut and gets handled by the end of the arc, could also apply to Boruto's case. Like Kawaki seems like the absolute end of the shinobi world as well as Boruto's hopes in this sequence. However, the relentless endeavor of Boruto to defeat this misled friend could save the situation from getting out of hand. The question remains how? Well, to figure this out, let's take a look at all the prophecies about Boruto's fate that have been around since a very long time. We'll also decipher the outfit that Boruto's wearing and how it corresponds to his power level in the time skip, so stay tuned. First and foremost, we have the prophecies of Momoshiki that basically say Boruto is bound to getting depressed and losing the will to live. The situation will worsen so much for Boruto that he will decide to give up on his dreams and die. This would be the time when Momoshiki gets the chance to take him over and live the rest of his life as Boruto Uzumaki. Now, whether Momoshiki would leave the planet or plans to rule it is still a mystery. No wonder he looks so messed up in the time skip. All in all, this telepathic link with the ambitious monster has been destroying Boruto's mental health day by day. This boy has literally lost everything but is still enduring in the name of shinobi. The will of fire is well lit in his heart even after the ailments that Momoshiki has put in his life. He even lost the bond with his best buddy Kawaki, who ain't even hesitant to kill him because of his inner demon. If things continue like this, Boruto will lose his reputation in the village, which is equivalent to losing everything. The only person who will feel him in this moment would be Sasuke, who could offer him to leave the village and become a Shadow Hokage. Well, it does make sense, since Boruto is seen with this outfit that's either a tribute to Sasuke or a way for him to show that he's protecting the village from the shadows. When Sasuke talked about his resolve of saving the village, he must have been talking about turning Boruto into the savior of Konoha. Not to mention, it's the same chapter in which he let Boruto keep the headband forever. By looking at the flash forward scene, it seems like Sasuke did fulfill his resolve. If you are caught up with my channel, you must be knowing the analogy of events that I have mentioned many times before. Let me explain it once again, cause it's gonna help us to solve the infamous twist of fate mystery. Chapter 71 and chapter 75 both had featured a few events that might be related to a single major event in the future. For chapter 71, Momoshiki's reminder of the dark fate, Himawari's shinobi dream, and Code's Ten Tails army might be related. The dark fate that Momoshiki has been warning Boruto about could involve the death of Himawari, that too by the hands of Code's army. This explains how Boruto has come to losing everything, and all of it was foreshadowed in a single chapter. While this chapter teased the blue-eyed boy losing hope, chapter 75 did the complete opposite and foreshadowed how Boruto's heart could rekindle with optimism. This brings us to the most notable plot armor of the series, a dojutsu that has not even been completely revealed, yet it is believed to be the most important part of Boruto's life. I'm talking about the jogan, which is a major part of the only optimistic prophecy about Boruto's future. It was foretold by Toneri in episode 8 that this eye will soon awaken to help Boruto tackle the hard times, and I believe this chapter has entirely foreshadowed the forthcoming of the jogan. We know that this eye is wielded by the Otsutsuki god, and with the introduction of Shibai Otsutsuki, it was pretty much clear that he has some ties to Boruto due to their eyes being similar. Not only that, Shibai's horn also looked very similar to Boruto's, but the next detail of this chapter helped us to understand the jogan more precisely. Every Otsutsuki ability is revealed to be a shinjutsu, which makes the impossible things possible for human beings. The jogan can also do the same thing, and that's why it was remarked as the Star of Hope. The third major event of this chapter could even act as the hint for the awakening of the pure power, the glimpse of future that showcased Kawaki apparently attacking some person. For some reasons, it has enraged Mitsuki and shocked everyone else. I believe it's Boruto whose eye has been cut in this scene, which has started the dark era in his life. Now if my assumptions are correct, the divine power should awaken in Boruto's blind eye around the time when Code attacks the village and kills his sister. Well, these formidable circumstances can easily make Boruto a mentally weak person, so there must be something other than the jogan that will help him defeat Kawaki in the Timeskip. Not to mention Boruto is no good at handling Otsutsuki powers, so it will definitely take him some time to learn the jogan. This is where Sasuke's role comes into play. We can't refer to the jogan as the ultimate plot armor of Boruto that will magically solve all his problems. The jogan will only help Boruto to dispel the darkness, it won't do the work for him. There is certainly some skill required, and that's why I think after training with Sasuke, Boruto would advance his genjutsu skills, and it's gonna be a piece of cake for him since he already wields the battle experience of Kinshiki, who's also a swordsman. Sasuke would further teach him all his ninjutsus, and I believe he could easily turn them into shinjutsu abilities after recognizing his Otsutsuki powers. Well, if things go down this lane, Boruto might actually turn out to be on par with Kawaki when this scene will make it to the series. But what if I told you there's gonna be a big twist in this fight that will either prove to be a huge nerf or buff for the blue-eyed boy? I'm talking about the shinjutsu of Kawaki, also known as Ishiki's eye, that was not shown during the flash forward fight. Now there are possibly 3 reasons for this. 2 of them could turn out to be mega buffs for Boruto, while one can even make Boruto inferior to Kawaki. So let's talk about the buffs later and get straight to the nerf. When this scene was being created, maybe Kawaki unlocking Ishiki's eye was not a part of the original script. It must have been added later, but this small change could lead to a big impact on Boruto's life, mainly because he's using a weapon against Kawaki and the red Kama wielder could shrink it in the blink of an eye. I can't imagine Boruto fighting Kawaki without a sword, cause it wouldn't be fair, as Kawaki wields the staff in the Timeskip. This will actually make Boruto a lot weaker in the future, and maybe he would need some allies to defeat the misled counterpart, but that's probably not gonna be the case, cause I don't think years of learning Kenjutsu and unlocking a godly power in one of his eyes would go waste for Boruto. This brings us to the 2 possible buffs that Boruto could be enjoying in the Timeskip. That's why he is using the sword without the fear of getting it shrink. The first one has something to do with Hiruzen's summoning animal Enma, who had this transformation jutsu to turn into a staff. Maybe Sasuke has already figured out that Boruto would be disadvantageous against Kawaki due to his shrinking ability. That's why he might decide to seal himself into the sword, which technically makes it a living object, hence unshrinkable by Kawaki's shinjutsu. The second possibility is a lot more plausible, so hit the subscribe button and hear me out. What if it's actually the jogan that has blocked the dojutsu of Kawaki here? The pure eye is basically a godly power wielded by superior beings like Shibai Otsutsuki and maybe a few more characters that we have no knowledge about. Boruto has used this power subconsciously before, and it seems like every time this dojutsu got activated, he was able to go through even the most terrible situations. A point to be noted is that Kawaki has not used any shinjutsu in this sequence. He did flex the Kama at one point, but didn't use any ocular powers that are referred to as divine abilities by Amado. I won't be surprised if the jogan is behind blocking Kawaki's shinjutsu powers. After all, it comes directly from the Otsutsuki god and was able to manifest in Boruto's blind eye. This explains the significance of this dojutsu being called the Star of Hope and how a little bit of struggle and and training can make Boruto overcome his arch nemesis in the time skip. The story might still continue after this fight and could end up on a good note in the most satisfying way. However, the mystery of the Jogan is still gonna be there, and you can check out this video to find out why Boruto is the chosen one.